Your husband gave it to you on your 10th anniversary, but it's been sitting unused for years. Should you consider selling your unused jewelry? To help us answer that and other questions, we've invited Andrew Fabricant to join us on the Dollar Structure interview. Hi, I'm Gary Foreman, editor of thedollarstructure.com. Andrew Fabricant is partner in Farallon Family, a nationwide leader in buying diamonds and estate jewelry. His family has been in the business for over 100 years and is recognized worldwide for their ability to assess each item of jewelry not only for its intrinsic worth, but its aesthetic value as well, its market desirability, and also its history. Andrew, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Gary. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. It seems that more people in their 50s and 60s are selling jewelry. Why do you think that's so?
The simple answer to your question is because it's the smart thing to do. If you're not wearing jewelry and it's sitting around in a safety deposit box or your drawer, it's a logical conclusion to use that asset to further your future as opposed to thinking back on your past.
Now I'm hearing that some families are selling their unused jewelry to help pay for kids' college, but what are some of the common reasons that you hear people are selling?
Yeah, college and 529 plans are a big part of the reason why people are selling, but also because they may have debts to pay off, they may have a mortgage to pay off, or they have a vacation they want to take, or they're in a position where they're helping younger generations with their financial obligations. So things that you haven't worn in 10, 15, 20, sometimes 50 years are often sold to help make life a little bit easier. But even the extraordinarily wealthy are selling jewelry much more often than they used to because they find it an intelligent use of the asset that they have, as opposed to just sitting on it and not wearing it. If they can find a better use for the money, then it's a possession that they feel is has a value that they can sell and use the money for.
Sure, putting it to its greatest possible use. And then,
right.
Are there any trends now that that make selling at this time more advantageous than it might have been, say, a year ago?
Well, it's an interesting question. Yes and no. Sorry for the hedging there, but if you want to sell something and get the absolute last dollar out of it, then you think about selling what's hot on the market at the time, and not necessarily because you're wearing it, but because that's what people want. So in this market, Van Cleef & Arpels jewelry and signed jewelry is doing exceptionally well. For instance, Cartier, Tiffany, all the big names that you know, as well as some of the smaller, more eclectic artists and designers of jewelry are doing very well. And big diamonds are doing well. 2.5, 3 carat and bigger are doing very well. That's the trend. That's what people are buying. So if you're selling into a market that's hot, it's an advantage. It's something that you should consider. But to me, you sell when it's appropriate for your family. You don't want to. If you have 3 or 4 children, it's very difficult to split the jewelry equitably. It's very difficult to split any possession equitably. So dividing a check is tremendously easier than, or cash, I guess, than splitting up the diamond and the diamond jewelry. You know, if you have an engagement ring, that's always going to be the one the kids fight over, right? That's usually the most expensive item in your jewelry box, and if you leave it to your kids, unfortunately, fights get started, and I've seen hundreds upon hundreds of families break up after an estate has been left to them, and they can't divide it equally.
Now, do you find that baby boomers are actually looking forward to, with thinking in terms of their estate and what happens after they're gone, or is that are they maybe a little too young for that yet?
Well, no, I think it's much more prevalent and common today. People buy insurance to protect their families, and people set up wills much more readily than in my father's day, when I think he thought he was going to live forever. So it's a situation where if you're being responsible for your family, You have to think about what have to think about now, what might happen later. So jewelry is a possession that is often forgotten until, unfortunately, it's too late. So I always recommend clients who may not want to sell their jewelry now at least have an estate valuation and appraisal readily available. So if the IRS comes knocking when the safety deposit box is opened, there's a reasonable valuation inside. And if you can represent your jewelry or your inherited jewelry you may have inherited better than the next generation, because either you paid for it or you remember what it was when your mother left it to you, then it's much more advantageous to handle that part of it yourself and not leave it to siblings who may fight over it or people who may inherit it may fight over it.
And now, some of us, I mean, we're not used to dealing with, you know, appraisers and things like that. How complicated is it to sell jewelry?
Well, in my opinion, it's pretty easy. You find a reputable jeweler. I think I'm included in that category. And you can email people like me to get ideas of the valuation of the jewelry that you have descriptions of. You can send pictures, and I can often give you a fairly good estimate on what the valuation might be. So to get yourself in a position to inventory your jewelry and do it in the right way, it's easy to start finding valuations. And then you have to start getting comfortable with who you do business with. So you want somebody who's reputable, who has longevity in the business, has experience in the business, and has the resources to, one, support a purchase, which could be tremendous amounts of money. And I think those four things will give you a very nice bit of confidence in the person that you're dealing with. We have the ability to insure every piece of jewelry that's in our care. So if the market has to be examined or explored to get the last dollar out of it for our clients, we can insure all the jewelry while it's with us so that our clients are protected against any loss whatsoever. So it puts us in a position where we can make them comfortable with the process that we go through. We can also obviously buy it from you right away, and you want to pick somebody whose check you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, makes sense. And that obviously, with something like this, you want to deal with a reputable dealer. And that can you tell?
Online, you can check anybody these days.
Yes. Now, are there certain warning signs that maybe a dealer isn't reputable that you could tell us about?
I think a lot of review sites cover that, where if you can look them up in a local review site or even a nationwide review site, you should be able to find the reputation of the person that you're dealing with. There's the Better Business Bureau. There are industry resources, and you can actually ask the person, like me, to provide references. So I'd be reluctant to provide clients unless they specifically gave me permission, but I can give you my banker and I can give you accounts that I do business with that can verify that I have the assets that I claim I have to be able to cover people. So it's important to know that somebody's been around a while, that they have the experience to be able to put you and your jewelry in the best position possible.
Yeah, well, speaking of which, tell us a little bit about Farallon 5th.
Well, we're located on 5th Avenue, and our name is Fabricant. And since people can't spell it as easily as we'd like them to, we decided to name the website fabon5th.com so that people know that we've been here a while and have been established. You can go to our site and see some of the history of the firm. When you deal with us via email or directly, you'll meet with one of the principals, which I think is important. My cousin Peter and I own the firm, and we sit down with people and we'll help them make the right decisions as far as the value of their jewelry is concerned and how to appropriately sell it. So our firm, well, I should say our family has been in the industry for well over 100 years. Peter and I have a tremendous amount of experience, and so do the gentlemen who are our buyers and help us work on people's jewelry, have a tremendous amount of experience as well. And I think experience in this industry particularly is very important. You have to have contacts all over the world. You have to know the right people to do business with. And you have to make sure that you're doing business with legitimate people as well, so that you get paid and you can then pay your clients appropriately.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we'll make sure that we provide a link to Fab on Fifth. And we thank you for sharing some of your experience with our visitors today.
Thank you very much.
And again, I'm Gary Foran from the Dollar Stretcher. We invite you to follow us on the various social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks a lot.